Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. It is Wednesday and we are talking about about soul, about energy, the energetic side of us. And today I was thinking, if just wanting to bring the idea, are you aware of what your thoughts do and what energy they create? And therefore, when we set intentions consciously, what actually happens to the energy side of us. So I just want to give a few minutes for people to actually come in. Do say good morning. Let me know that you're here. And also, I was just very curious. I know we are going back to the new normal. So when I started doing my lives, I was doing them in my group, which was the Mind, Soul, Purpose. And the thing that I was talking about is that we all have time. I have got time on my hands, and I've got all this information in my head. So what better way of supporting the community and helping whoever is watching this by sharing this knowledge in this time that we have. But things are starting to change. Excuse me. Things are starting to change. We are going back to normal, whatever that normal may be. I just want to put you on my Facebook so that things are starting to change, so that I can see who is here. And so I was just trying to play around with, good morning, Julia. And hi, Kimonas. So I was just wondering if the times that I'm doing these lives are right for you. Should we be moving them to evening slots so that you watch them after work rather than in the morning when you would still be at home, for those of you that are going back to work? Of course, we can always have a replay, so it doesn't really matter from that point of view. So I was just trying to play around and also starting slightly later in the day, and if that is actually slightly better. So I'm experimenting. I'm just trying things out. So feel free to let me know what is best. Obviously, I can't serve everybody, but I will absolutely do my best to keep giving you information, to start bringing you some awareness, to educate you, because that's what I do. And start making it a little bit more easy for everybody. So hi, Tony. Nice to see you here. Hi, Sid. Thanks for saying hi. So any questions, any things that you would like me to talk about or elaborate today, please use the comments. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Marie. Nice to see you all here. Right, so let's talk about the energy stuff, because a lot of people don't really understand what energy is all about on a conscious level. A lot of people do know it's there, they just haven't sort of thought about it in a slightly different way, and therefore they don't have that awareness. Typically, hi Marilyn, typically when I do leadership training, because I work with companies, with leaders and their teams on creating better business. So I work on the behavioral side, not so much on the strategic. Obviously, I've got some strategic tools as well, but I work more on the behavioral communication side of things. And typically, I also work with entrepreneurs that are starting up or have just started up, and they're starting to come into the place of all the conflict, all the obstacles, and they don't understand why. So I help them remove those obstacles. My program, as some of you may know, is called PEM, which is for Personal and Executive Mastery. Personal because it is me, it's all about me. Executive because it's about taking decisions and making decisions, and mastery is about perfecting. And yes, there is no perfection, but we can always improve what we are. So we're talking about mastering ourselves. So a lot of people don't actually understand what we refer to as an energy, especially in corporate. A lot of people kind of go, whoa, this is spiritual stuff. We don't do that. It's the woo stuff. We don't do that. When I used to be an assistant with Paul McKenna, I used to sometimes have to look after directors of companies through the 7-day course. And people would say, oh, this stuff is great. This is amazing. Can you use it in business? And I would say, do you have people, teams, employees that work under you, that breathe, that have emotions, that do well one day, that don't do well the other day? And they would go, yes. I said, well, this is what this stuff is. It's just that people don't recognize what it is. And it sounds a little bit too much like tree hugging. And trust me, I love tree hugging, but it's not only about that. So can you please explain about how energy, frequency, and vibrations in terms of spiritual support? Yeah, all right, so I'll bring that in. Thank you for the question, Sid. Hi, Amy. Nice to see you. So have you ever thought about the idea that your thoughts do create, yes, a chemical pathway to the body so that they can let the body know what to do with this thinking. So the thought is about the event, it's a prediction, it's an assumption. Sometimes the thought is about what's happened in the past and we relive it here, because you remember your unconscious doesn't know the difference between fantasy and imagination, but very often the thought is about the future, which is something that hasn't happened and we actually don't know what will happen. And yet, because the unconscious doesn't know that what I'm thinking about is in the future or is in the past, it thinks that it's experiencing that event right now, which is why then we have the chemical output into the body, because then what the body is trying to do is saying, this is the thought, the meaning is this, the emotion is anxiety, or the emotion is fear, or the emotion is sadness, and therefore it has to tell the body that right now your behavior should be one of being anxious, or one of being scared, or one of being sad, depressed, whatever it may be. So through our chemical pathways, it will give that information chemically to every cell and every organ of our body. It changes the chemical composition, and as a result of that, the behavior is that. However, it is an energetic thing. So the emotions is the energy around us. So how do we know that for sure? So let me give you an example. If somebody had to walk into a room, just by observing the way they hold themselves, the way their shoulders are, their head, their face expressions, their muscles, the way they speak, the tone, the speed, all of that kind of stuff. Can you tell how that person is feeling about themselves or about the circumstance, the environment that they're in right now? And the answer is always yes. And that is because there's not just the physiological, what I'm seeing that person behave, there is an energetic part of it. Sometimes we will speak to somebody, and this is like the more hidden kind of stuff. We speak to somebody, they seem fine, we seem to have a good conversation, and you walk away and something inside of you says, it doesn't add up. I don't feel like I can trust them. I don't feel they're being truthful. I don't feel that right now this is what is true for them. There just is an uneasiness about that conversation, and you don't know why, because there was nothing conscious on the behavior side that they were expressing, and yet you felt it. Because at the end of the day, what falls behind, so let's just say we have an artist or we have a physical trainer. They've decided to now, the artist wants to go and show off their artwork. The physical trainer wants to become a self-employed personal trainer, and in their minds, that is their desire. So that's what they're aiming for. Behind all of that, and this is what comes from the imprint years, okay? Behind all of that might be the idea, the belief that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, this never happens for me, whatever that sort of block or that obstacle is. So the energy around what they're trying to create is one of I'm not worthy, I'm, worthless, I'm hopeless, or I'm helpless, your three negative beliefs. And therefore the energy that goes out is one of that. And this is why on the outside, they might have that little mask on that everything's fine and I'm really confident and I love my art, or I'm really confident about my personal training. And they may have that, but they just don't know whether what they are rather than what they're doing is good enough. And therefore the energy behind it is of insecurity of that thing. And that is what you're feeling. So therefore what we are putting out there does come back in. So in going back to that question, Sid, can you explain about the energy frequencies and vibrations in terms of spiritual aspects? So we vibrate on different levels, and depends on where we put our attention, that is where we are going to experience that. So if we look at what our third dimension is the body, is the actions, is the behavior. The fourth dimension is everything to do with the mind. Okay, so it is to do with our thinking, our belief systems, anything to do with the mind, with the ego, that is to do with the fourth dimension. From the fifth dimension and up, and if we look at the fifth is like our energetic information center. This is also where you have your Akashic library, which is like an electronic, energetic kind of, not electronic, energetic data of every single thing that you've experienced, every decision that you've made, every contract that you've created, every pain, every vow that you've made, all the stuff that you have lived through in every lifetime is recorded there. So here's the thing, from the fifth dimension and up, everything is here and everything is now. So there's no concept of time and space. How do we know that? Here's an example. Have you ever done a meditation, and while you're meditating, there's a glimpse, a thought that says, I don't know where my body is, but you're feeling such bliss and you're feeling such calm and tranquility that actually you don't care. It doesn't matter where the body is, because right now what you're feeling is such bliss, because now you're connected to the universe. You are aware of it. Your energy has dropped down into your heart. It opens up and it connects to everything. So although for a split second you might have an awareness that I don't know where my body is, I can't feel my body, that is because in that space there is no matter. This is matter. There is no matter. There is no place. There is no me. You would also experience, and I often do this in my trainings, where we will do either a meditation at the end of the lesson where I bring it all in, or like a type of hypnosis, much of the same thing. And people say, oh, that was so amazing, and I felt so free, and I felt so out in space, floating and so connected, and I go, wonderful. And they said, oh, I wish it didn't finish so quickly. And I said, well, how long did it feel? And they said, what, 5-10 minutes? I said, look at your clocks. And they look at their clocks, and it's usually 45 minutes, maybe an hour. So they had lost all concept of time. Now, when you do a guided meditation where you're following somebody, perhaps you know that that lasted 45 minutes or 40 minutes, whatever the meditation is, because you know the time. So when you come out of it, although it went like a flash, you know that it was 30 minutes. But if you do your own freestyle kind of meditation where you're just listening to some music and you're just allowing yourself to immerse yourself into the energy, to connect back to your core, you will lose sense of your body, of the matter, of the material world, and of time and space. So this is how we know that once we actually allow ourselves to connect with the fifth dimension and higher, then our vibrations change and our focus is different, and this is why we lose that third and fourth dimension part of us. Another way of understanding it is that if you think about a desire that your soul has, one of the purposes that it's come to accomplish, remember, we are born to experience, out of the experience to expand who we are. Consciousness wants to expand, the collective consciousness, the source, whatever you want to call it, wants to expand, and it can only expand through actions and doing, which is why we choose from time to time to incarnate into a body. And it also wants to release. So therefore, if you've had a negative kind of contract, a vow, an experience, a pain, a hurt, something happened to you in another lifetime where it's caused you to not believe in yourself, or you did something, and let's just say that you're a healer and therefore you're using energy for healing, and maybe you're using also herbs and you're doing that kind of work, and in say 200, 300, 400, 500 years back you lived a life where that was considered witchcraft, and therefore you were burnt at the stake for it, or you were drowned, or whatever they did in those days. You may have developed a fear in that lifetime about doing your craft. So come in this world again. For instance, I met somebody who didn't know that she used to work with herbs, and she used to heal people with herbs and with energy. And because I did her Akashic Records, I said this to her and she went, "Oh, I don't believe this." I said, "Why?" "Well, what is so strange about that?" She goes, "I've always been drawn to the therapy with herbs and with energy. And at the moment, I'm busy studying herbology so that I can start using the medicinal properties of herbs and healing people and myself with that." And I said, "Well, this is knowledge that you already have. It feels natural to you." And that is that stuff that is going on from the fifth dimension. Because from the fifth dimension, we can access, because we are connected, we can access information, plus we can access our own information, the things that we have already in another life learned. And she said to me, "And as much as I'm passionate about it, I feel so blocked about how will I take this knowledge and express it and use it and become this person, because right now I'm just an office administrator and it's boring and I hate it and I just feel it has no purpose for me. And this is why I've decided to do this, because I feel that maybe I can actually, shift over and do that. But I really have I feel like I've got such a block." And I'm thinking, well, no wonder, because if you were burnt at the stake, that memory is still there in the energy part of us, in that vibrational side of us, that it will have the fear. And therefore she was scared to express that. So, there we sit, and this is what I talk about, that one of the things that we've come to live here is release. Now, you will also notice this, that you may have relationships with certain people that are more toxic and negative for you rather than being positive and enhancing. And the question would be, why is that happening? What is this? Is no matter what I try and do, this relationship never heals. It just gets worse and worse and worse. Now, if we go back again into the Akashics, and this is not the only way to do it, but it's a tool that I use from time to time. I may notice that you have, this person has lived many, many lifetimes in different relationships. They've been friends, they've been husband and wife, they've been siblings, they've been enemies, or whatever it may be. And therefore, in every lifetime, things have not been resolved, and therefore they've come back again to try and resolve things again in this lifetime. So this is the release part, okay? And the release part is for you. It's your journey, it's your choice, and therefore you'll bring these people back in again. These are what we call sacred contracts that are part of our energetic system. So the energy side is very, very interesting. And if we don't understand all the blocks that we have, we always go back to the default of what we were taught on a conscious and a mental state, that there's something wrong with me, or I am not good enough, or maybe it is that repetitive comment that you had as a child because your parents didn't know what they don't know, and therefore they did the best they could, and that might have been tell you when you're doing wrong, because then you can correct it. And actually what they were doing is they were reinforcing limiting beliefs into your identity part of yourself, and therefore your belief about yourself during your imprint years is that I'm not good, or I don't work hard enough, or I don't push myself hard enough, and therefore now that you're wanting to do that, you'll sabotage yourself, or that you have to work really, really hard to make a living. Things are not that simple, and therefore you don't feel that if you had something that was easy and flowing and comfortable, that is actually going to help you survive. You would be drawn towards difficulty and hard work, blood, sweat, and tears type of thing, in order to energetically justify the thing that you've come to resolve. So if we start to think about what is my deepest desire, which is something that I talked about on Monday, is what is it that is stopping me? Because what is stopping me is that energetic challenge that we have come to release and therefore expand. And our biggest purpose, other than to be happy and to live a beautiful, free, autonomous life, is to know ourselves. So the journey of life is to know thyself, which is very, very hard, because we tend to recognize ourselves by the opinions of others. So what your parents thought about you, what your teacher thought about you, when people told you who you were as a child, that becomes your identity, which is like a mask that we wear over the pure, authentic self that we are. Okay, so this is why I often talk about masks, because in our authentic self, in our core, in our absolute, we are all beautiful beings that has come here for a particular reason. So before I carry on, let me just see some of the comments here. Morning, morning, morning. Hi, Lydia. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Renee. Bridget. Hi, Thomas. How are you all doing? So I hope that kind of explains your question, Sid, is that yes, there's a side of us that is about overcoming the ego, and the ego is powerful, guys. The ego is risk averse because the ego's biggest job is to protect you from being humiliated, because that brings rejection. And rejection is our biggest fear. You know, sometimes people think, oh, our biggest phobia is death, our biggest phobia is spiders. No, our biggest fear has to do with rejection. So if, for instance, putting yourself out there and becoming the best version of yourself and showing the world, talking about what you do and who you are, and doing your craft, the things that make you come alive, the things that are inspirational for you, because that moment you're in spirit, which is where the word inspired and inspirational comes from, brings up a fear of, what if I'm rejected? What if somebody turns around and says something nasty? And trust me, that is going to happen, unfortunately. It's always been something that makes no sense to me. Only because I'm the kind of person that if I see something that I don't like, or I don't agree, or it's not in alignment with my beliefs, I just move on. I choose to not engage with it, because what for? This is not who I am, and therefore I have no need to correct them. They are free spirits. We all have unconditional love and acceptance and choice. And therefore, if they choose to present themselves that way, they have every right to do that. And if I'm going to practice what I preach, if I really feel it inside that I've got unconditional love and acceptance, right now I need to accept that this is how they want to express themselves. And I am no judge, I'm no jury, and therefore I have no need to pass any comment. But I do recognize that what they are representing for themselves, for whatever they are, it is not me, this is not who I am. I just simply let it go. So I don't have this need to go around and criticize others, because at the end of the day, who am I to criticize? So I always find it really interesting when somebody has this need to criticize me, but for the same token, they have every right. And it's up to me to decide whether I'm going to take that opinion and make it more important than the opinion that I have of me and my purpose and my desire and what I want to do and my intention in life. So they don't really affect me, because if anything, I will reflect on it to see if any of this is showing up in my life, if there's anything that I'm doing to myself, you know, the mirroring kind of stuff. But that's as far as I will take it. So I hope this is giving you some food for thought. There's no more questions. Let me know again about what you think is the best time for me to serve and to help you. Is it easier now that everything is supposedly going back to normal? If it's better if I do it later in the day, if later in the morning, like now, is okay. Some people have said 8 o'clock, I'm still in bed, or I haven't woken up and I miss your lives and I really want to be in your lives. So this is why I tried it a little bit later today. Yeah, let me know. Give me some feedback, give me some questions. If you want to have a strategy call with me about something that I can possibly help you, like I said, I work with entrepreneurs doing a micro business and working with themselves and being amazing at their craft, which is why they were inspired to start their own business. And now they're having these challenges because, of course, part of it is I'm so scared I'm going to be humiliated. I'm so scared people are not going to think this is great. And it just could be strategic business things, steps in their marketing or in their social media marketing or something that they're not quite sure about, and therefore they need some guidance or some, you know, people don't know what they don't know. So sometimes we get frustrated and we feel blocked because we don't know that I don't know this. And sometimes a third eye or another person's sort of insight into what you are and who you are and what you're doing. And sometimes it's just about accountability and support. So if you want to have a strategic call with me, by all means, send me a Facebook message. I will gladly respond. We can set up some time, have a chat. No obligations, you know, we see where we go from there. That is that for today. Let me see if there's any more going on here? No, it all looks fine. It all looks good. I hope I answered your questions. I hope I gave you some insight. Pay attention to when you have your thoughts and you're putting yourself out there, what you feel is stopping you, what is the energy behind that, and just go deep inside and try and touch it, try and see it, try and feel it, try and understand it, so that you can start to resolve it. Because once you start resolving it, you're going to continue to do that, and that will start bringing you into the space of living your life on your terms. Hope that was useful. Wishing you an excellent day, excellent end to the rest of the week, and all the best. Hi, Nick. Came right at the end. Come on, take care. Share it with anybody, by the way. Feel free to share my videos if it's going to be useful and helpful for somebody that you know that is struggling with certain things. Please, please, please share. Put them in contact with me or whatever it is that is best. Take care. Bye-bye.